Hello and welcome to this mTrive prototype training. mTrive is the online reporting tool platform which we will use to share the results for each and every unit and manager meeting the anonymity threshold, of course, with the results from AES 2019. This recording will only take a very few minutes as it's just giving you a general overview about the structure of the tool. There is a more extended version of the recording providing you more detail around functionalities and the content itself. Related to this longer recording, you will also find a guide which highlights which topic is covered in which section of the recording, so you can easily jump to the respective minute. When logging into the tool, we are sent directly to the dashboard. The dashboard for me is the heart of the tool as it's summarizing the main results for this unit you are looking at. On the top, we can see the participation rate. Below, we can see the indices and global focus items section. Here you can see the 3 Allianz key indices, IMAX, Workwell Index Plus, and Employee Engagement Index, and 3 core global focus items. We can always see the percent favorable and the trend to the last year's result. Indices and global focus items have been predefined by the core team to make sure that each manager has a look at these strategically important scores. Below this section, we can find the engagement drivers and dimension. This is not a predefined section, but it's a real outcome of a statistical analysis identifying which items and dimensions are most important to improve engagement. You can see a maximum of 5 dimensions here with a percent favorable score and the distance to the benchmark. By clicking on the little arrow below, you can extend the view to also see which items actually make this dimension, in this case customer centricity, a focus area for engagement. By clicking on the menu button up here, you can also see the top 10 focus items in a ranked order, and you can, if interested, extend the view and not only look at the top 10, but actually at all items that have been requested or assessed in the survey. Going back to the top of the dashboard, to the beginning of the page, I would like to highlight a few more general functionality menu settings here. On the very top left corner, we have the menu, which you can open by clicking on this icon. When opening it, you can see, and this will guide you through the pages of the tool itself. At the moment, we are at the dashboard represented by this home button here. Then we have Explore with Learn and Listen section and the 2 pages called Act and Help. Act for the action planning you will do with your team, and Help will provide you some support materials. On the dashboard itself, I would like to highlight the filters and functionalities on the top. The top left drop-down menu, which we will have here, defines the database and the dataset you're looking at. At this year, we will only have 1 dataset of 2019 uploaded and 1 historical dataset from the last cycle. This drop-down is actually not relevant, or there's nothing you would need to change here, but just for you to know what this is about. Below this drop-down, you can see the N count of people from the unit you're looking at this moment. So this will update when you set a filter, etc., to the respective respondent count of the unit. Talking about filtering, this main filter drop-down will be visible on all pages, not only on the dashboard, and it's basically setting the group you are looking at. Opening this drop-down, we can see that there are 2 sections, a group filter and a general filter group where you can go more deeper into the hierarchies. For you, this is no big difference between those 2, just in case you would have a more broader view of a bigger part of the organization, this then would come into play. In general, you can either go down into the filter groups with the group filter, or you have the 2 filter options here. The business unit button here is your line hierarchy, while the direct manager is your direct manager structure. This is only relevant for a few OEs within Allianz. The others will only have the business unit. There are very few, very special cases who, in addition to the direct manager or in replacing the direct manager, actually have an additional matrix hierarchy here. So this will also become visible. When clicking on your line hierarchy, you will see the unit you are managing. In this case, this would be example unit 1 and the respective subunits. Of course, there will only be subunits available if you are not manager of a unit on the lowest hierarchy level. And there's also only one level of subunits available. So in case subunit 1 would have more units below, this is the rolled up score of this branch of the org tree, so to say. You can either click one or various and also combine them, applying the filter. This will then represent it directly. The site will be updated and the scores will be represented on the site. On the very right corner, we have a drop down a download button. Here you can basically download your exports. On the dashboards, it's PDF and PPT. On Learn and other pages, you will also have an Excel format here. Please refer and check out the longer and extended training to get a better understanding about differences in reported besides the obvious thing, which is the format. On the top right corner, you have your user profile or your user menu. Clicking on your name, this will be replaced by your name. You can either log off the tool or change your language selection. Language selection in this case could be important in case you would also need reports in different languages, as the exports reports depend on the language that is currently set in the tool. And you have the download manager where all the created exports will be saved for 90 days. Jumping to Learn. Learn is the page which now would give you a little bit more background towards what you have already seen on the dashboard. And on Learn, you can see all dimensions and item scores and play around with them a little bit in comparison to the dashboard. So Learn starts with the indices and global focus item section. It's basically the same view than on the dashboard, just that you have a little arrow here, which you can use to extend the view and basically see the items which are behind that index, in this case IMAX. Then below we have the dimension rank, which will include all the dimensions we assessed in the survey with all the items behind the dimension. So in this case we have survey follow up, and we could broaden the view again by clicking on the arrow to also see all the items. Both items and dimensions are in order of the percent favorable, so starting with the highest towards the lowest. On the right side here, you can see the additional benchmark. Those benchmarks include either static uploaded Allianz benchmark as the Allianz Group 2019 or external concentric benchmarks. On further below, this section of dimensions would appear in case you have local items. There would be another section similar to the dimension rank, including your local items. And the last section on the Learn page is the participation rate, similar to what you've seen on the dashboard. As you might have seen when we switched the page to the dashboard, we have the same filters here. And in addition, we have a Compare To filter. The Compare To filter enables you to either select a group that is internal. You will always have the Allianz Group overall available, your OE score, the unit itself, obviously, and all other units you have access to. In addition, you have the additional comparison selection on the right side, where you have the global external benchmark, your country external benchmark, in this case, the example is for Germany, your group benchmark, or the Allianz Group benchmark, and your OE benchmark. The additional comparison benchmarks will always appear on the right side next to the charts. the internal comparison will always appear as an additional bar below the actual bar. And hovering over, you can also see the other scores here. On the right side of Learn, besides the download menu that you can open again, you can also look at a different view of scale here. So changing from percent favorable on a collapse scale. So clicking on this, we can click on apply, and the tool would automatically update and then show you percent favorable, neutral, and unfavorable scores. In your tool, you will also be able to click on Listen, and you will be guided to a separate page where we will have uploaded your open comment report. So Listen stands for open comments, and you can then download those. In case you are a manager in the line and the direct manager hierarchy, you will receive separate open comments report for each of these fields. After analyzing your results, the next step will be to continue them to discuss with your team members and define actions as a follow-up to the survey. Clicking on Act, you will be guided to a slightly different layout of the site, and you will actually see in the tab My Teams the same units that you also see in your hierarchies, meaning the unit you are directly assigned to, and the subunits you have access to, plus your direct manager unit. Here you then can assess and create actions. Very likely you would create actions for your team only and assess maybe more those that are on units below. So clicking on your unit, in this case unit 1, you would be able to add actions by clicking on this button. You can then also export specific actions. There will be a PDF icon or an overview in Excel format. Please don't be confused that there are two 2019 tabs on top here. This is how we had to set up the tool to different thresholds between different OEs. Nevertheless, there is no risk to actually get confused around this, as the other 2019 tab will then simply be empty. So there's only the one chance to create your actions actually. Closing this training, I would like to point out the help section again, which you can reach then after you have been to Act, or as well from the original menu by clicking on Help, and there will be some interesting material uploaded to support you in how to use the tool. Thanks for listening.